Hello and welcome to the Zooming Hoosk Podcast, and I'm your host, Dustin DaHusky. And here today, co-hosting is Kurdan Sourpuss.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on the show, Kurdan.
Glad to be loafing on your laptop.
Oh no, the fur's in the fans now. Now it's gonna die off a lot quicker.
Yes.
It'll be on fire soon. So, how are you, Kurdan? You have a good day?
Oh, doing good.
Doing good? That is good. Floofs are always doing good.
Yes.
I had an okay day as well. Actually, nothing really to talk about.
Uh-huh.
But Kurdan's got a few things that he would like to talk about. He's got a few subjects.
Well, honestly, I've just been pondering in my head the future of fursuits and how they incorporate technology, and the animated eyes really speaks to me. I don't know. What do you think of that?
I think it's another step into the future of where things are going to go.
Yeah.
We already have lights in fursuits, like you see light up strings in the backs, the legs, and the arms of fursuits, and sometimes they're even music activated, where they sync it with Bluetooth to whatever music device they are playing.
Right.
And it goes to the beat of the rhythm.
Definitely. Love that. I love fur that just lights up in general. It speaks volumes to me. But yeah.
I'm sure it's not very easy to clean, though. I haven't asked anyone who's owned one how they maintain one. But of course, with new technology, I'm sure there would be new advances in how you would probably clean them, maintain them.
Sure. I mean, a lot of it's like fiber optics, which honestly, that's plastic. So, I mean, I imagine you probably wouldn't want to throw that in the washer, but who
I'm
knows?
sure it's got some. It's got some bend. It's got some give to it. I'm pretty certain it is quite durable, especially with fiber optic of today.
Yeah.
I'm sure when it came out, I don't know how long it's really been out, someone's going to Google search and say, you got this wrong. But I don't know, maybe in the last 35 years, we've had fiber optic cable for information and whatnot.
Yep.
And it's gotten a lot better, so...
And they have those lights, too. Like, if you ever go to, those... there was a store that I used to go to in Chicago it was just all fiber optic lights. And even in, Christmas decorations, they had, fiber optic trees.
Oh, yeah, those things.
They changed color. The whole thing, literally just goes through a cycle of colors, and it's a trip.
Have you ever, as a kid, because I know I have, which we've had those exact trees with those little fiber optic needles, and I would purposely bend some of them just to kind of, mess with them.
All the bending. Oh, yeah. Especially as a cat. I mean, I can't resist messing with trees in general, but yeah, bending those we were bad kids.
Yeah, I've done some bad things to fiber optic, just by literally bending it, because it sometimes, if you bend it enough, it'll snap off. But it is fun to see the creases in the bend when you do actually crimp them. You do see a little bit of crystallization within the, I guess within the plastic casing itself. But as far as fursuit technology, I haven't done too much research into it. It's not necessarily new technology.
Yep.
But it's technology that's going to continue to evolve along with fursuiting. Of course, fursuits themselves, makers are finding new ways to make them easier to make because, of course, there are long waiting lists for some of the more popular fursuit makers out there.
Yep.
Maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years at some.
Sure.
And some are even longer. They're finding new ways on how to make a fursuit. And we're also getting to that pivotal point that, yeah, you're seeing protogens. Do you know what a protogen is?
No. What is it?
I don't know I can give my own definition for them. It's pretty much
Okay, go.
a organic body of, let's say, a fursona. Like a fursona is, let's say, a dog, and you make a protogen out of it. It's doing some kind of scientific work or research. So of course, the whole muzz face of this dog face is going to be a screen.
Okay.
And
is that 3D printed or?
In fursuits, yeah,
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay.
And pretty much you have legs, hands, feet, maybe tail that is going to be like a biomechanical supplement or addition to an organic body, which is what a protogen is. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
And it's cool because more and more new fursuit or furry species that we end up creating become fursuits eventually. And with protogens, you will find the face dome. I guess it's called a face dome. There are some really, really creative hands-on people
Oh yeah.
that know circuitry, and they're able to program little cells or programming imaging cells.
Right.
I'm not a I'm not a electrical engineer by any degree. I'm just trying to describe this as best I can.
Uh-huh.
And they're able to make eyes blink, make this squiggly dazzle mouth move around a bit,
Oh yeah.
making different types of emotions, having different kinds of expressions, even like boot up sounds or booting up code like you would turning on a computer from the 90s, how some of that code would go up and down the screen or just flash and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Protogens would be, as a fursuit, is kind of cool because you have to have some form of technology to make it alive.
Right.
And of course, you're going back to the idea that you have fursuit eyes, which I've seen a video on Twitter a while ago where it was quite adaptive,
Oh yeah.
where it would actually follow. It was some kind of like motion sensor where it would direct the direction of the eyes, blinking, whatnot. I'm sure that's all programmed, but there's some kind of like close proximity sensor where it would allow the eyes on the fursuit to focus on whatever it's nearby, whether if it's a hand or a person getting close to them.
So that just messes me up.
Oh.
Even the follow me eyes like messed me up for a long time before I really understood them. But
Really, if you can think about it, follow me eyes and standard 2D eyes. For the longest time, we had 2D eyes, and they were simple. Though, when you took a picture, you're obviously have to face towards the camera,
Right.
and that's sometimes not always possible. Or you may not even know there's a camera there, and you're totally blind, like I am.
right.
Follow Me Eyes allows the fursuit to do the looking for you, per se,
Yeah.
which kind of has its living being in its own self. You are controlling the fursuit, but in reality, the camera is going to be looking at the head, especially the eyes, and the eyes is what's going to captivate a lot of people.
Right. Even though some people I remember back when I got into the fandom about 5 years ago, was it now?
No, 2013,
Shit, is it that long?
because you were on staff for MFF in 2013, and then you took a year off, but then came back in 2014.
I didn't take a year off. I didn't take.
Oh, okay.
I haven't taken a year off from furry ever.
Oh, okay.
Oops,
I thought maybe you joined, went to MFF, staffed for a year just to kind of see what's it's all about and whatnot, and then you decided fursuit time, and then you commissioned fursuit and whatnot.
I dove in head first.
Yeah.
And not to plug or anything, but I'm enjoying an Angry Orchard. This is because of Pandez. I blame him. Actually, I blame whoever it was that bought Pandez, the Angry Orchards, at IFC, because they had him so, he was super buzzed. So shout out to Pandez.
Pandez is pretty amazing. You rock, buddy.
Yep.
We all miss you.
Oh my God, yes.
2020's been a dismal year for everything.
It's been so dismal. But anyway,
going back to fursuit technology.
Yeah.
So we were talking about protogens, about their face plate or their face dome, and how they're able to animate different things to it. And of course, this dome is see-through. It's just, or is it? I'm sure it probably is.
Has to be.
Fursuits with animated digital eyes, which is the step above 3D follow me eyes.
I want so much too. Oh God.
You want a animated eye?
I love them so much. They're so adorable. To be able to switch between the emotions of my suit goes between being stupid happy to super sourpuss, angry eyes.
But that might be your default expression when you get in suit.
It is my default expression, but to be able to switch between those on the fly without having to move things that'd be amazing. I'd love to be able to do that.
I think having some. Now, I really enjoy follow me eyes. I've owned 3 fursuit heads at this point over the course of 8 years. They've all been follow me eyes. I don't know anything else. I've actually wore your head once, and that was 2D.
Yes, you did.
And I didn't think there was that much a difference vision-wise between my suit and your suit, as far as like vision through the eye.
Right.
So really, between 2D and 3D, there's not much a difference. There might be small, like, you're pretty much with 2D, it's just a flat panel.
Right.
Whereas 3D, it's concave. It's actually set in a bit, so it's closer towards your eye. But beyond that, it's not much different.
Right. Theoretically, it should be better vision with yours, really.
Or something to that degree. For some reason, I didn't see anything different between your head and my head. Although for a DHC head, they're incredibly breathable. I will say that though.
Oh, yeah,
I was impressed about that.
They definitely are.
But I think it'd be really cool one day get a suit. Let's say 10, 15 years into the future, there may be more, which of course will probably drive up the cost of fursuits. For, let's say, 2020's sake, the average fursuit either costs anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500 as a low to about, $3,500 to $4,000 for your well-known providers of fursuit makers.
Right.
You will find prices outside of those ranges, whether for niche market, for above, because there are incredibly expensive fursuit makers that are above $4,000.
Right.
But of course, there are startup fursuit builders that start below that, obviously, for being competitive price. But I would say, if anything in the future, like blushing cheeks, or
I love those too. Those are great.
Blushing cheeks, eyes that actually not only follow you like your standard 3D eyes, but also make them blink.
Oh yeah, I like the blinkers.
Make them sassy. And I think that's where, at least if anything, with foam base or resin base, I don't know about resin base, like actual realistic looking fursuits, I can see that being a possibility too. So really, any kind of suit, both resin and foam base, and anything is possible, especially for eyes. And really, I've asked a few photographers who take photos. Look at that. Photographers taking photos. And I ask them, what is the best part about taking pictures of fursuiters? And they say it's usually the eyes. And to be honest, as a photographer myself, both film and digital, the one thing I focus the most, quite literally, are the eyes of a subject.
Sure.
So it actually makes sense that the eyes are going to be well focused in, not only in your lens, but it's going to be the focal point of your picture. I think animated eyes, which few and rare, and of course not. It's not going to be for everyone. So of course people would like traditional 2D or 3D follow me eyes, but I'm sure the option for animated digital eyes will probably grow within the next 10 years as there is kind of a plateau for fursuit building. Like, there's always going to be a few new things to learn.
Right.
But we're entering a plateau in terms of different materials. I think really the next step up is literally going to be technology. And I think there's a panel of adding technology to your fursuit and why it's silly and pointless, but I think it's sarcasm or something. It's going to be fun to see where technology, lighting, eyes, whatnot is going to lead fursuiting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the sky's the limit. Here's a question for you.
Yes.
You've been furry longer than me.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how long have fursuits been, like, coming through to the mainstream more so now? Like, when was the first fursuit made?
Well, I mean, and a quick shout out to Ash Coyote. She made an awesome documentary called The Fandom.
Yep.
And I don't know if it was actually mentioned in the documentary. And as far as I know, there may have been fursuits made in 89 or 1990. That's kind of when they started becoming like, oh, this person is making a costume. Let's call it a fursuit.
Did they actually call them fursuits back then?
I have no idea what they called them. I've only been in this fandom for 18 years. However, my first time fursuiting in this fandom was back at the Laugh Chicago meets in Downers Grove at Tivoli Bowl, which sadly is no more. A pause of silence. And there we go. The very first suit I ever wore was through an individual who had multiple suits. And apparently, this suit locally was called the Creepy Fox Fursuit. And it was kind of a fishbowl.
I remember you talking about this before.
And this fursuit was obviously made for someone taller than me. I'm 5'9" on a good day, 5'7" on a bad day. And I think this fursuit was made for someone a foot taller than I am. So it was totally baggy on me. It had a back zipper, so, it wasn't very easy to really get into. I had help getting in. It felt like it was totally faux fur, but it was like the first generation of faux fur. Where it wasn't as soft and pliable as modern day faux fur backing is in fursuits. It was quite stiff and rough.
Oh, okay, I can imagine.
The fursuit head was literally a rounded ball. It was like it was pretty much a fishbowl, a round fishbowl. And my eyes...
Fox fishbowl.
My eyes were never that, like... I could literally move in my head. And I did this my very first time. I moved my head within the fursuit head so that it wouldn't move, and I was at least moving about 3 to 4 inches either side, front, back, left, right. There was so much space in this head, it was crazy. And apparently, this fursuit was older than I was. This suit was made from 1991. So it was one of the earlier fursuits, and it may be one of the... this fursuit also came from a fursuit maker who had passed on in 1997. So these are considered the very surviving examples from this maker. I even forgot who the maker was. These suits are actually considered classics and collectibles in the community. That they go for a lot of money just because.
Do they still exist? I mean, is it still around?
This suit still exists. I don't know who owns it now.
Who was the original owner?
I have no idea, but the funny bit is, one photographer out in Ohio, I don't know if he's from Ohio, but I met him at Anthro, Ohio last May, or May of 2019. and he took pictures of me, and he seemed to have been in the fandom for quite a long time. And one day on his Twitter account, he was posting pictures from Anthrocon 2000. And in one of the photos was a fox fursuit.
Of course it was.
And something was incredibly amazing about it was it is the exact same fursuit that I wore back in 2012. And I thought, well, I mean, it looked exactly like it, but I wanted to make sure detail to detail, face to face, and markings. Well, between 2000 and 2012, someone had added what looked like grease. It was probably paint, but it looked like motor oil that was like on the bottom portions of the legs and on the forearms and paws. It didn't look great, but it was still surprisingly soft. So they had darkened the fur there, but in 2000, this fursuit, which I discovered, same exact suit, was an entirely red and cream-colored fox fursuit. So this suit definitely shows that, okay, it's been found at an Anthrocon photo in 2000, so for how old it is, it certainly looks the part. And of course, it's cool to see other fursuits at that point, for how simple they were. Sure. They were great back then because, whoa, this is amazing.
Right.
Nowadays, we kind of look at that like a boxy car from the 1980s. We're like, wow, people drove around in that. Today, we're like, whoa, did furries wear fursuits like that? That was my very first fursuit experience, was with a suit that is nearing 29 years old and is what I like to call a high miler.
Wow.
And I think it's still around. It should be, because I think it's seen more people than any other fursuit I know of. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know.
Can you imagine keeping a suit that long?
Can you imagine keeping a car for that long?
Yeah. I'd love to keep my suit that long and not have to replace and get a 2.0 version or anything. Speaking of the 80s, this comes to mind, the evolution of like where YouTube began and where we are with it now. Like, I don't know, are you familiar with YouTube Red? Is it still a thing even?
I think it's still a thing. I think YouTube Red is like an ad-free version of YouTube where I think you get a few perks with it. I think it's monthly subscription.
Right.
My brother has it, and he talks about where you don't get any ads, which for YouTube, since
right.
it's Google,
that was their big selling point, the no ads.
They have no ads, but wait a while before they start putting up more ads and say, hey, so you have ordinary YouTube, right? Well, you get YouTube Red and you get fewer ads, right? Well, now you can get YouTube Platinum. Watch, it'll happen.
Don't do that. Please don't do that, YouTube. Cool.
But for some reason, YouTube Red is like a better YouTubing experience, which, yeah, would I pay for it? Well, obviously, if I made more money, everyone could use more money.
Sure,
but,
I hear that.
I just don't have money to do it monthly to be having, like, ads. Yeah, I hate ads. I hate seeing them. I hate those stupid polls between videos.
We all do.
But it's not costing me anything. Of course, the ad company is getting paid because, oh, this poor sap is watching our ad. Great. Oh, he's going to skip ad? We gain double. I don't know. YouTube Red sounds like a really great idea, but you know how most great ideas eventually start to fall apart? Not all of them do, but I wouldn't be surprised in a few more years that YouTube Red just becomes another YouTube level of, oh, well, we have standard Red and Platinum.
Right.
And then we have two middle fingers to the average person, 0 ads, you get free monkeys, and cases of beer each month level for YouTube. Yes. And you get a pair of pants out of it. For some odd reason, they include pants in the box.
Yes, pants. But here's the thing about YouTube Red. There are some exclusive series from featured YouTubers that have like literal serials, as they called in the old days. Do you remember that? That you can only see on YouTube Red. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, there's literally like an entire series. Like this one guy, I forget his name. Not important. Joey something. I don't know.
Joe Schmo. Let's just call him Joe Schmo.
Joe Schmo has, I think he's on his 3rd season, and it's a fully produced, directed, costume, like everything. They went all out. Like, it's really high quality. It's not bad. It's good. But is that worth the money? Along with that, though, because I use YouTube for a lot of music. I go to sleep listening to YouTube because I have an entire playlist dedicated to music to sleep by for Kurdan Sourpuss. But now they advertise YouTube Red. I know now, like this is like old news, but YouTube Music has been around for a while too, and that's something else that you can subscribe to. That costs even more money, and it's like they're squeezing pennies out of us. But your thoughts on YouTube Music?
I don't know about. Well, there might be a thought about YouTube Music, but the thought about exclusive series.
Well, that's YouTube Red, though. That's YouTube Red.
Right. The idea of just touching back on YouTube Red as far as exclusive material, which, is to be expected, and I think it's not a bad idea. However, how many people are actually using YouTube Red compared to standard YouTube?
Obviously enough, because it's still around.
I guess so. Because I was just thinking, you have that one individual, Joe Schmo, who's made a fantastic season for 3 seasons.
He's really popular.
And he must be spending some good money to make this series work.
Oh, yeah.
I would say it wouldn't be well worth it if a small number of people were to be subscribing to YouTube Red for a series that costs a lot of money and there's not enough return on it.
Sure. Well, no, he's got millions.
Well, then in this case, YouTube Red...
He's got over 50 or 60 million subscribers, at least.
So then I guess YouTube Red is just probably maybe not as frequented as standard YouTubers, or maybe even Steven. Although, I'd be pretty surprised about that if half of all YouTubers on that platform are all subscribed to YouTube Red. Yeah. Then I'm going to be incredibly surprised. But as far as YouTube Music...
Yeah.
Honestly, unless it's got stuff that I can't get and something I can't find online, I don't know if I would buy into it as much. It's got to have something incredible that would allow me to subscribe to music when I can listen to it on standard YouTube, if you may.
Right.
Unless it's like $5 a month, where it's incredibly cheap per month to do, maybe it's worth it, but I could still do that with YouTube Red. I don't know. I'm kind of dogmatic in that approach where if it can cover all bases, why do I need to subscribe to something a bit higher? Unless there's something that I absolutely need.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I hate ads, but I'm not going to subscribe to YouTube Red because, you know what? I don't want to pay a conglomerate money just to have no ads, which, are they going to promise that?
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
YouTube Music, well, I still use CDs from time to time. I still use an iPod for much of my music. I don't have it on my phone. I'm very old-fashioned in the sense that I have a separate GPS system in my car. I have an iPod Nano, and I use a phone. And all those things are doing separate things.
Right.
I don't touch the phone while I drive, because you shouldn't be touching your phone while you drive. Although I'm touching my iPod while I drive, so I guess that doesn't really matter anymore.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
I guess it defeats the purpose.
That knocks that right out of there.
Yeah. But the idea that I have is I'm saving a bit of data with finding where I need to go and listening to music I enjoy. Oddly enough, I'm still using other forms of media that a lot of people have kind of let go. Maybe YouTube Music is just a better way of saying Pandora.
I love Pandora.
I've never actually used I've heard of Pandora. I don't know if I've ever used it, but it seems fun. But I didn't really see a good enough use for me to use it earlier on. I'm still tied to my iPod, and frankly, I enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean,
so
look how you're so old worldly, though. I mean, I just introduced you to Winamp.
Like a few weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, and you're still like fascinated with the animated backgrounds that react to the music sounds. Look at this ad. This ad keeps popping up. You love this ad too. This Messenger ad on YouTube.
Download Messenger for free. I hope it's free, but
one of the most annoying ads ever.
Do I really need an ad if it says, "Oh, it's free. You should have this"? Like, I don't even want it, even if it is free. It's some of those things where it's like, yeah, okay, all right, but you got to really convince me why I need it. And sometimes convincing me is going to be pulling teeth.
Oh yeah, I mean, we dated for how long?
5 years, and you already know this, that I am hard to convince.
Yeah.
So
I've sold you on a few things though. I've sold you what is it? Michael Henry on YouTube. One of the funniest YouTubers.
Michael Henry.
The gay bottom mafia guy.
Oh, God, yeah. Okay, all right.
Fucking hilarious guy. He's so funny. If you don't know him, Michael Henry on YouTube. The guy is funny.
Actually, a lot of his content is fantastic.
He puts out really quality content. He's phenomenal.
And funny.
Very funny. Very funny. Very topical. He just uploaded another video like 18 hours ago. So he's 17 hours ago. Very much keeping up with current events and all the goings on that we are dealing with. I don't even want to utter the word.
He's almost kind of like a Brandon Rogers in a degree.
But the gay version.
But vomitly gay.
Super gay version.
And you know what? It's actually quite well done. I really enjoy it.
It is. It's funny. He's a very funny guy. A huge shout out to Michael Henry. Going back to the 80s, I mean, like, we were actually discussing earlier some music videos that just were bizarre, like back when MTV was just kind of starting out.
It began, and people were still wondering what it was actually there for.
Right. They didn't understand it.
The very first music video to ever be put on MTV was, well, of course, MTV began in 1981.
Right.
The very first music video they ever played was The Buggles, or really, the video Killed the Radio Star by The Buggles. And that song technically kickstarted the 80s in 1979. It really began the wave towards vaporwave and radwood as we know it.
Do you even remember that video?
I don't know much about the video. I saw it, but I can't remember much about it. But a lot of music videos. Now, what I mean by radwood, or vaporwave, synthwave, whatever.
What the hell is radwood anyway?
The rad culture, or the
rad, like 80s,
radical
80s. Okay, radical, yeah.
And actually, it's not just 80s, because a lot of the 80s spilt into the 90s. So really, that time period is from 1979 to 1999. So if you're born between that time period, or even before, and grew up in it, you grew up in a very rad time.
Oh yeah.
And that's when culture, music, cars, pretty much anything during this time period was radical.
Yes.
If I can't describe it anything else than that, it was just radical.
Right.
But what's more radical about this time period is music. We're not driving in 80s cars anymore. However, the one thing that we're continuing from this time period is the music. And the music is great. It sounds great. But there is a lot of zingers where the music video version of these songs are absolutely bizarre.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't make sense either.
Yeah, for sure. One that comes to mind for me, and I had a teacher in college that talked to me about it all the time, but Tears for Fears, really a culmination of 80s type music. But my God, their music videos were so far out there. I actually was going through a few of them earlier. Obviously, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Classic song.
Mm-hmm.
But a little bit of a... Actually, no, that wasn't so odd. But that actually featured, and you may not know this, but it actually featured a very fluffy husky pup.
Woo! Hoosk.
Yeah.
Gotta represent the Hoosk.
Gotta represent the Hoosk. And that music video did it. It was very random, and he was very, very floofy.
Ah, well, hey, the song was radical, so was the video.
Yeah.
And, most important bit, the Hoosk was fluffy.
Yeah. Men at Work, actually, were the ones that really put out some really strange music videos. And where were they even based out of?
They're from Australia.
They are Australian.
Yeah.
See, I thought because of the song Down Under they were Australian, but I never really
made the connection.
I didn't make the connection.
You thought it was some other group that decided, hey, I have an idea. Let's write a song. Okay, we're actually a band, but go on. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's make a song about Australia, about how they're on the other side of the planet. Let's call it Down Under.
Yes.
Perfect. Where do we begin? First, a really weird music video, which is pretty odd, I have to say.
It is.
Them pretend shoveling into a sand dune, which, of the three people with tiny little baby shovels,
Yep.
only one of them is actually shoveling anything, and even still, minute grains of sand is being flung into the air.
Yep.
One guy is dancing on the side of this dune with
And
them,
the other dude juggling.
and the other dude is juggling.
Yeah. Bizarre, strange, weird. Men at Work. What the heck was that song? That was Down Under.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one that was actually really weird was God, Who Can It Be Now?
Oh, yeah, that's right, from the same band.
Same band.
Yeah.
First Shot, lead singer, who's got probably one of the largest voices in the 80s.
He had a very defining voice.
Very defining, very big. I thought he was a huge, large, burly guy, and he was this skinny guy.
When you think of a voice, or when you hear a voice, you're trying to imagine the person, the face behind the voice.
Sure.
And this is one of those instances that the voice doesn't match the face.
Right.
But that doesn't really necessarily matter.
No, it doesn't matter. But a lot of the album art never showed the band members, so you're left with just this, vague idea in your mind of what they look like. But
And this guy had a crazy lazy eye in
Yes, he did.
Who Can It Be Now?
the first shot in that video, though, and Who Can It Be Now? He's sitting there in tights.
Yeah, he's in tights. But I have to say, his legs were amazing.
His legs were amazing. And again, speaks volumes to me. Anybody that follows me, follows my AD, knows that I'm like super into that stuff. But it goes so far beyond that. It's so weird. It's such an odd video.
And now, I don't look at many of their music videos, but Men at Work, if there's something about their band, about each member, is that they're so interactive in their videos, especially the lead singer. His facial expressions really are well placed, or really, really well executed in whatever he's doing in a video.
For sure.
He's having fun with the video. He knows that the video is kind of silly. He knows it's dumb.
Oh, yeah.
But he's going to have fun doing it anyway.
I'm sure they didn't take it seriously. I'm sure they didn't even think it was going to take off or be as big as it was. I mean, they wouldn't dream of people watching it still in 2020.
Hey, guys, I'm going to sit in a chair. That's how the music video is going to begin, okay? Guess what? I'm also going to be wearing tights. Yeah, we're going that far down the rabbit hole.
I'm sure they probably just filmed him whatever he was wearing to begin with in that whole moment. It was probably not even planned or thought through. It was
he may be an all tights man. Who knows?
He was all tights man.
Of course, certain scenes in that music video, especially with him on stage, there's a few close-ups of him with his lazy eye.
Yes. Which
is funny because I have a lazy eye too.
So do I.
At this point, let's say the whole planet has a lazy eye. There we go. And it's quite funny to watch him look at the camera, which people look at me strangely because I keep forgetting, oh yeah, that's right, I have a lazy eye, and I totally forget about it. It happens quite infrequently, but I can force myself to do it, and then I really weird people out. And I kind of get a giggle. I was like, you know what? I like this. I don't know which direction he's truly looking at, but you know what? He's looking at someone and me at the same time.
Right.
Or it's so that's a weird video. I'm gonna mention a few myself, and you can probably mention a few more. One that actually comes to mind is Rush, Time Stands Still.
Oh, yeah.
And Rush, it's one of my all-time favorite bands. There's not a single song I dislike from them. It's rare that I have a band who I have every single album they've ever produced, been to 8 or 9 of their concerts while they were still ongoing as a band.
Yeah.
It is by far my most favorite band, and will continue to listen to their music until the end of days. And Time Stands Still is such a beautiful tune.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, the lyrics all done by Neil Peart. He's done all their he's done all of their lyrics since literally after their first album, and Time Stands Still is no exception. Beautifully done, but for how well composed the band is, they're a very well mature band. Their music video was messed up. Like, you have band members floating across. I recommend you go on YouTube. If you have YouTube Red, even better. Or YouTube Music, you're in the same spot. Or actually, you're probably in a better position. Go find Rush, Time Stand Still, 3 words. Go to their main music video, or their official music video. Watch it. The tune is great. The melody is beautiful. The lyrics mean something. And yet, Geddy Lee is moving across the screen like he's a UFO. And you know what? This is 1985 or 1986 when this song was made. And you know what? It's so 80s. They're randomly going around there, and during their documentary Beyond the Lighted Stage, Neil Peart's like, oh yeah, that music video was pretty stupid. He even understood that music video was stupid.
See,
now
they knew
it was also
they didn't take it seriously. They knew that they were just bullshitting. They were just doing whatever.
Yeah,
they were doing what they were told to do. A music video, tell some kind of story, quotation mark story.
I mean, there's certainly a story within the song, but the story within the music video was pointless because they're literally floating around in space.
Right.
And Neil Peart and his entire 72-piece drum set is floating with him like a UFO. But hey, Neil Peart can do that because he is the drum solo of life.
Right.
So he and his 72-piece drum set can float where the fuck he wants.
He can float into my
into your soul. Let's say that.
He can float into my penis hole. That's fine. Float in there.
You can float in there. So that's actually one example of a weird music video of a great song. And these are all great songs.
Yes.
So that was 1985, 1986, and one song I really like, and I made it a blast of the past for you when I played it for you
What's that?
in your old kitchen,
What?
is I Beg Your Pardon by
Oh, yeah.
Icon I Can. I think that's the album.
Concan.
It's Concan. And I think they're Canadian, too.
They would be.
And you know what? It's one of their only big hits they ever made. This is 1989, and the whole music video is involving a phone booth the entire time.
Doctor Who?
It could be Doctor Who. Doctor Who could be floating in the background
probably was
somewhere.
Doctor Who inspired.
Probably.
Because that's when the 80s Doctor Who was still kind of...
Big.
Was it big? I don't know.
I think it was big, but I think maybe the
didn't watch-
franchise was...
I didn't watch it back then.
Because I know the franchise ended, not ended, but it was on pause, because I think viewership was going down.
They didn't reboot it till like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Something like that. It took a while before they did boot it back up, and then there we go. It's been pretty big since. And I Beg Your Pardon, there's a... I forget the rest of the song. I'm going to butcher it. There's a rose in my... I forget exactly what it's called. There's a rose in my garden. I don't know. That's totally wrong, too. And the song is great. In fact, in downtown Waukesha, I was in my dad's old SUV. I had all the windows down. I cranked that thing all the way up, the radio, and played this song. And you know what? Everyone in that goddamn...
You know, it didn't matter the lyrics of that song. That song was...
It
was all about the synth.
Oh, yeah.
It was all
totally
about
that.
the synth. It was all about the synth and the electric drums.
And you know what? Everyone in downtown Waukesha was looking at me, and they're all smiling and say, "Oh, look at that weird kid."
Yeah.
And him playing some really obscure 1989 top hit, which was only a top hit in 89.
I mean, the singer was basically singing through the whole song.
Yeah. Also, too, before I get back to you, there's one more music video that I actually thought... I think it's from the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
When in Rome. What's that one song? Damn. I was hoping this wouldn't come to a brick wall.
Let me see if I can help.
So it's When in Rome. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
When in Rome. Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
It's such a great song.
The Promise?
The Promise, yes. The Promise by When in Rome. And that's such a beautiful tune.
I don't
And
remember the song.
this music video of the song,
I'm going to play this, but I don't want copyright infringements on your video, so I'm going to play it silently.
okay. This song's music video is kind of like a side-scroller video game, if you know what that is. However, it goes from one direction, let's say left to right. It goes left to right. It tells half the song, or the story of the song. Then it moves in the opposite direction, right to left, to its conclusion. Almost like telling a story. And there is a bit of poetic feel to the song. And yeah, it's a bit strange, but it's... I don't know, he's slowly trying to listen to the song. But it's one of these music videos that you have to wonder, wow, it's a bit strange, but I like it. All these music videos we've talked about so far, they're weird in their own way, but they're pretty fantastic. Are there any other music videos that... What about Dire Straits' Money for Nothing?
Oh, Money for Nothing. Huge classic.
And that's 1985, right?
I mean, that introduced the basis for what we now call virtual reality. all the 3D graphics back then. I'm sure.
CGI.
Well, I didn't even call it CGI back then. It was just they called it virtual reality, or I don't know.
So it's kind of like the green neon baby in like 90s discotheques in Europe, of the dancing baby. It's kind of like dancing around, kind of weird and whatnot.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking like they had like a limitation. They had polygons on the screen that were animating, and God, it was so flat, but 3D.
They had a flat ass.
Flat chin, flat face,
flat ass.
Eyes that clip through the back of somebody's head.
Yeah.
You pointed out to me. I mean,
even the sides of their doggo is flat, because there's a doggo in the video.
The doggo was flat, and I'm gonna excuse myself for a second. I gotta what do you call it? What's the word?
What are you gonna do?
The floodgates are open.
Oh no!
So I'll be right.
Okay.
Continue on.
So, all right. So I guess let's talk more about music videos. So we talked a bit about 80s. Let's see, 90s. What came out to me in the 90s that was strange? Didn't watch much TV in the 90s, actually. Early 2000s. Oh, okay. All right. So here's a few. So back in the early 2000s, I became angsty hoosk, because you know what? If you were anyone born in the 90s or born in the late 80s and grew up during the angsty period of American music, well, you grew up with some angst. But that's okay, because we all did. So, mindless self-indulgence. And you know what? Didn't listen to that much edgy music, because I listened to a lot of my dad's stuff. So, a lot of Blue Oyster Cult, Rush, Triumph, there's Sweet, did I say Blue Oyster Cult? Crimson King, U2, Depeche Mode, although that's kind of going away from Rush, The Police, so many bands. I've pretty much become my dad in terms of music library at this point. However, the 2000s was a time when I decided to look into what I actually enjoyed, or at least not what I enjoyed, but exploring my musical tastes for my own. Then I became edgy, and then it was All American Rejects, which I went to one of their concerts, and it was so embarrassing. It actually kind of killed my edgy tone from that point on. It was like, oh, these guys are assholes. They're not just assholes. They're not even professionals at all. And they're supposed to be musicians. But mindless self-indulgence shut me up 2005 or 2007 or something like that. And the music video to that, I was introduced to a fur friend of mine. Well, we're all fur friends to a degree. And it takes place in some kind of corporate superstore where the aisles go as high as they can into oblivion, and aisles go as far-reaching into the horizon. And there's this one poor dude in the only cashier lane, if you call it, I guess. And he's, zapping away barcodes and whatnot, and, corporate slave like the rest of us and whatnot. Then all of a sudden he just snaps, and then the music starts. And, that's, another music video where angsty can be incredibly funny, and it can be fun. You have the main character of this music video, the lead singer, literally ballistic throwing a baby into a man's chest. And the baby's moving. The baby's legs are like,
yes.
Using zappers or like the barcode scanners to zap people in half and to obliterate them. I mean, that's all funny. All American Rejects, Move Along, it was a good song. And the music video to that, I can still relate to today as, yeah, you had a really shitty day. And you know what? You do have to move along because you really can't slow down. You really can't stop. And
this is true.
yeah, this is an edgy point in time, but if there's anything I learned from the song and from the music video, despite all the hardship, you do have to keep moving.
Yep.
Yeah, it's I don't know, and with all these music videos, there is a lot of artistic artistic creativity when it comes to this. It's almost just as labor intensive as making a song itself, because you want to convey what you're trying to do through the lyrics of the song, the beat of the song, or just really kind of goof off.
Yep.
And this is like the one way where a band can have fun, not just in creating the songs. However, if you're not as established as some of the bigger rock bands or just bands in general, you're more likely playing a corporate tune. So maybe the only way where you can have fun is maybe the music video itself. I'm trying to think of other music videos that were just kind of absolutely weird or strange or just kind of like spoke out to me as, yo, check this out.
I can't think of any music videos, but I can say this for weird. How about this for weird? This is my idea of relaxing and unwinding. When I come home from a day at work, I like to reorganize my toolbox.
That is very, very relaxing. You know what I enjoy doing? Coming home after work and polishing my tools.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's why I put plural with tools. That's nasty.
I get that.
Yeah.
Do you, speaking of though, do you have any personal projects or goals that you're focused on right now?
Well, really, the first one. Well, I mean, there's multiple projects and goals that I would like to do with this year because honestly, this is 2020, the year to do whatever it takes to keep you occupied.
My God, yes.
Because you know what, everything is canceled. So,
dear dog, yes.
Frankly, I would like to do some painting in the house. That's one project I would like to do. You ended up helping me yesterday with a project with the garage door, which was loosening up on all fronts, and you came with the victory of battle with providing me with some necessary nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts to keep my garage door together because it was all going to come down.
Kitty nuts.
Oh, the kitty nuts. The kitty nuts are on the garage door now. I used a socket, and now they're stuck to the wall.
Yeah.
Projects. Well, certainly would like to maybe let go of a few things. Definitely a lot of cleaning. There's always time for cleaning. This year was going to work more on the Skylark, but since my dad works at a hospital, I really can't see him too often, so really, that went out the door almost immediately.
Yeah.
So I can't touch that car until really when it's safe to do so. There's not much to really do with it, but it leaks a lot of oil. But that's an old car. But that was one of the few things I wanted to do was to replace some gaskets so it wouldn't leak. But you know what? I'm going to let it leak some more.
Right.
And my dad, you know what he's going to say?
What?
No, well, it's your car. You do what you want. So it's just going to make a bigger stain on the floor than it did from the previous years. But that's okay. Although it doesn't leak as much as it should. But actually, wait, if it's not leaking, there's no oil in it at all, so I should be worried. projects. There's a few things I'd like to do for my dad. A Father's Day gift. I kind of bought him a rifle parts kit for his Father's Day that's totally in pieces. Like, none of it's at all usable, and kind of buying more components to make it work for him. And it's entirely involving industrial education. I'm working with presses, drill presses, lathes. So it's literally learning all the things of a factory to make a boomstick. That's a whole year's project kind of right there, and hopefully to get that finished before the end of the year.
Yeah. Isn't it kind of late though? Wasn't Father's Day back in June?
Yeah, his gift came incredibly late.
Yeah.
Projects. Besides kind of doing personal things around the house, maintenance around the house, just kind of keep myself busy and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of projects. I would run a lot of meets, but since this pandemic is kind of concurrent right now, any kind of meet I would either run or attend isn't happening now,
Right.
and probably won't for a little while. All the cons I would have gone to besides First Squared. Now, before we get into that, all the other conventions I was planning on going to this year are either canceled or canceled. At this point, they're all canceled, let's say. We were lucky to go to one con this year.
Oh my God, yeah. Thank God.
And this was back in February.
Bless this con.
That might be the last con we might be able to do for some time. Who knows? We don't know how long it'll be, but at least to say we've gone to one con
Bless you
in 2020.
Bless you First Square, and bless you Alkali, and
Dragor and Pandas and the Cockroach.
And
Xander.
Xander the Blue.
And Xander the Blue.
Bless you.
We miss you.
Even though. Anyway.
Anyway. We got to drink to that now.
Sorry, Xander. It had to happen.
We should do that more often.
No, we should not. Rest in peace, this podcast, if we do. I would not do that to him. So, here we go. I have to do this. I'm sorry, because of my work schedule and sleeping and going to bed and disciplining myself, pardoning my drunk rant. But Hoosk and Kitty Debate 2020. Should you pre-rinse dishes before you put them in the dishwasher? Go.
So am I going to be for or against?
I'd say against, because you kind of just throw them in there.
Okay, so what I normally do with dishes, I toss them in. I don't even actually put them in the actual slots. I just like, oh, done.
No, wrong. Bad Hoosk.
No, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Rinse that shit.
You
You're
mean
making that dishwasher work harder.
But that's what I wanted to do.
That poor dishwasher. It hasn't been used in how long?
Since 2014, and we're
When it got
starting
put
to
in.
use it this past week. Actually,
It's
the last
6 years
week.
old new. It's 6 years old new.
Okay, so a little bit of backstory. Now, yes, I know that you're supposed to rinse most of all the solids, the food solids, from your dish before you actually plop it in your dishwasher. I already know that. My mom is French. She came from the old country, and she grew up in a reality where the dishwasher didn't really come about until the 1980s. It's not to say that it didn't exist before then in Europe. It's just most households didn't have a dishwasher until then. Mm-hmm. And even still, it was quite a luxury. So most people wash their dishes every night.
Right.
Which is what we've been doing since I've been alive as long as I remember to know that we've been doing dishes by hand. And you know what? We had our first dishwasher that was original with not just the house, but the purchase of the house back in 97. And we didn't use it at all, to the point that the rubber grommets for the water rotted away, caused a leak, was a horrible mess, and the sprayer that allowed the water to spin and hit all the dishes with the spraying jets, well, the motor drive for that broke because it literally rotted away. It was rusting.
Awful. That's awful.
So we ended up replacing it in 2014. My dad says, hey, I'm going to do something nice for your mom and buy her a dishwasher that we won't use because we never used the old one. So what's going to say we were going to use the new one? Well, we have Hoosk and Wolfcat and Polecat.
Yep, Polecat.
And the otter. And we all live in this house. There's 4 of us.
Who's the otter?
My mom.
Your mom's an otter?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, we've been doing dishes every night for quite a long time. And you know what? That's what she's used to. However, I've been trying to convince her for many years that, hey, dishwasher, yeah, it wastes a lot of water, but if you use it every 2 days, you fill up your dishwasher for 2 days, wash it, you're going to be using 1 day's worth of water you're going to be using 1 day's worth of water for 2 days' amount of dishes to be cleaned, compared to every single day of the week you're doing dishes. You're going to save money on water, on your water utility bill.
Right, I get that.
I've been trying to convince her for many, many years that, hey, we can use the dishwasher. We're not going to use it that often like most people do. Most people run it every night. I don't see the need to run it every night, but once every 2 nights is not a bad idea. It wasn't until last week did we finally decide to, hey, we're now using the dishwasher because I'm getting fed up of cleaning all the dishes. And they're all piling up every night because 4 people make an astronomical amount of dishes to be cleaned every night. It was becoming, unless we all ate fast food and ate out or delivered food here, since we don't, for the most part, we actually make our own food in-house, hence the amount of dishes that we produce to be cleaned.
Yep.
We've now decided that it was better to actually use the dishwasher for the first time in 6 years.
Amen.
And you know what? I'm actually kind of glad because I don't mind doing dishes. But when you do it every night, you do it every night of every week, of every month, of every year, then you do it for 2 decades, then you do it for half a century. Oh, God, why didn't we do this sooner?
Then you do it for 3 centuries.
Oh, God.
Welcome to my world. I mean, I've been doing it for a while.
It is nice to do dishes without having to do the dishes. I have to say that.
It is. I'm wondering, would you like to grab our special guest and bring him in?
I can see if I can maybe find him.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Why don't you get him
All
real
right.
quick?
Why don't you keep the audience occupied?
I will keep the audience occupied with my hissing and purring and loafing. Basically, sitting on his laptop right now. He doesn't know this, so don't tell him, but yeah. A lot of kitty furs getting in the keys. Enjoying a, what do we got here? Hams. America's classic premium, born in the land of sky blue waters. Since 1865. This is one old-ass beer. Oh, I think our special guest is coming now. So, without further ado... Hi, Sylvester.
I caught him loafing in a chair.
Aww.
And now he's angry at me.
Aww.
Aww. So it's okay, little kitty. And now he's pissed.
Aww.
I'm gonna let him go.
Okay. Well, thanks for stopping by, Sylvester.
Now he's staying on my leg now. He's actually been a good joy in life. It's just he's an interesting cat. Oh wow, he's actually going to pay a visit. Because normally when I pick him up, he wants to run away.
Aw.
Now he's just like, you know what? I'll hang out with you guys.
Because you released him early.
Maybe.
What do you think, Poos? Want to hang out and podcast with us for a while? He's just sticking his butt in our faces now.
It's like, here, you get this instead.
This is cat butt.
This is now revenge for ruining the loaf of chair. Yeah, regarding with dishes. What? Anyway.
Dishes.
What?
Dishes. Cats and dishes. Loafing. Dishes.
Dishes. Oh well.
Yeah.
I think we've gone on quite along with this episode, so I think
that sounds good.
I think we can probably end it from here. So tune in for whenever we do another episode. This is Dustin DaHusky.
And Kurdan Sourpuss. Thanks for having me, by the way.
Oh, sure thing. And tune in for the next episode. And remember, I used to be taller until the accident. Take care, guys.